Yeah, I'll just welcome everybody. As you know, hopefully you know, we've been having these National STEM Network sessions since last year. This is our last one of this session. We will be asking at the end for suggestions, so please get your thinking caps on. We really do want to hear from yourselves about how we're going to take this forward next year. Because as always we prefer to be responsive rather than just plan things for the sake of it, so we're definitely keen for you guys to come back with us. And if you don't think of anything just now, you can always post on the National STEM Network on Glow as well. It has been a way for us to connect and share and create and learn with each other, and we hope that you've found that to be the case, and we want to continue to do that. We're also interested, if you have a chance in your evaluation at the end, to tell us how successful you feel that's been, or tell us what more you would want to get out of these sessions. Mary, I'll hand back over to you.
That's great, thank you very much, Lynn. And just to say, this afternoon session is going to be recorded so that we can share with people beyond this evening, because it's just so wonderful to be able to have the three practitioners, Alison, Iona and Laura, with us to share. And if you're not sure where they're from, Iona and Alison are from St Modens Autism Provision within Stirling Council. And not too far from that, we've got Laura Robinson, who might actually, Iona, Alison and Laura might want to give you a wee wave. And they are, Laura is currently acting principal teacher at Stenhousemuir Primary, but she's going to be sharing her journey from Larbert Village to cluster support to working at Stenhousemuir. So really delighted, ladies, that you've given up your time this afternoon to share your fabulous practice and to share that with others, to encourage others across kind of Scotland too. So we are on till about 5 o'clock this evening, as you get kind of hopefully a sense of, Lynn and I like to run these sessions as a bit of a kind of banter, a bit of kind of conversation, joining in. Sometimes we know that STEM can feel a wee bit daunting for people, can sometimes feel a wee bit scary, a wee bit uncertain about what to do. So we really kind of try to debunk some of those myths, and just to really encourage just to talk about practice, to talk about where they're at and what they might do as well. And probably just at this moment, before we kind of carry on to our reconnector, we just want to give a shout out to our colleagues Laura McCafferty, who heads up the RAISE programme, which is supporting STEM and science education within primary schools. Laura, I don't know if you want to give folk a wee wave on the call. That'd be great. Thanks, Laura. And to Ian Stewart, who's also working with us, seconded from Midlothian Council and looking at the STEM Nation Awards programme. So if you haven't heard about that before, we really want to kind of shout out to that and you consider that for the future. And thanks to Ian Fife for recording this afternoon's session. So just to get started, this is the month of May. The summer holidays are just around the corner. So we thought we'd go with this sort of Star Wars-y type theme connector. And if you're happy to, either come on mic or pop it in the chat. What are you setting your eyes on this May? And if you haven't heard already, we know what Lynn Yenick is setting her eyes on, but we'd love to hear. What are you setting your eyes on? What are you looking forward to beyond May? So Laura McCafferty, thank you so much. You're saying the sunshine. Yeah, absolutely. I think we had some lovely sunshine at the weekend. Before the shower, so yeah, sunshine's definitely something that brightens up our day and actually lifts people's spirits. Thank you, JP Ward. You're saying you're planning for sports days. Oh, Iona's going to have Bruce Springsteen concert. Love it, love it. Lynn, more holidays, thank you. And Kay Quinn, you're saying you're excited to take forward STEM and you're setting next year. Oh, brilliant. That's actually so encouraging that you're here, and we'd love to kind of stay connected with you in your journey. Ian loves the water. We've got, the Eurovision. Oh, Laura, you a bit of a singer? Are you going to sing along? Yeah, are you going to have a party in your house? Oh, nice. Thank you so much for telling us there. Alison, you're saying strawberries, sports day as well. Bringing, oh my goodness, we've got Hat Fast and Furious this afternoon. Thank you so much. Oh, love it, Susan. Bringing STEM to organisation transitions. And Tim, thanks for joining us. Wow. Oh, Tim, that sounds amazing. I hope you're being serious actually about installing the giant mammoth.
Yeah, very serious. Giant mammoth coming in soon, so more details to come.
Right, listen, and actually maybe you want to pop a link into the STEM trails that you've got there, because actually people are coming up to summer holidays, they might want to pop down for some inspiration.
Will do.
Great, thank you. Lynn, I'm just going to pop back to you about the online resource, if that's okay.
Sure. So we've mentioned this throughout our sessions. It's just a wee reminder for yourselves. Obviously, the recording and these slides will be posted on our National STEM Network afterwards. We would encourage you, if you're planning for next year, to go onto our STEM Nation online resource. It's what we like to call our one-stop shop. On there, you've got examples of practice and resources. You've got the various networks that are available. There's also professional learning and events that are coming up. So perhaps you might want to look at what's coming up in the coming year, the coming next session that you might want to put in your diary and get ahead with. And obviously, very importantly for us, there's also the STEM Awards, which were launched this year. So you might be thinking, yeah, maybe we could attempt that next year. And there's lots of information there about the STEM Awards. And just a quick mention back to Ian there. Ian is our development officer who's involved in the STEM Awards, so he is more than happy to hear from you over the summer. Obviously, you guys are going to sign off in June, and I don't blame you because I'm right with you this year. But you might want to drop him an email saying that you'd be interested getting in touch with him after the summer so that he can get you penciled in for the STEM Awards and taking that forward.
Great, thanks Lynn, thank you so much. We're going to now introduce our speakers. So we've got Iona and Alison and Laura. So we're going to head first over to St Modens in Stirling, and I'm just going to share a lovely little video, if that's okay, Alison. Do you want to introduce the video and I'll get the sharing organised?
This is a video of all the learning that's been going on with our young people, and it's good. It's a good one.
Thank you very much. I don't know about you, when you see that, it's just so inspiring and encouraging and uplifting to think about what children who sometimes can be sort of marginalised within society, and sometimes, you know, that actually what do we do to let them flourish, to let them fly, and to achieve all that they can be. And I think that video for me is quite emotional when you watch it. And it's just so about the possibilities, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see. Jilly, you're popping a love heart in, and Kay Quinn's giving some really nice feedback too. So I'm sure Iona and the team, Alison, will be really encouraged to see that. So I'm just going to bring up some slides and pass over to Iona, who's going to speak first, and then we're going to head to Alison. Wait till I just bring up the slides the right way. So bear with me. There we go. So Alison, Iona's going to speak a little bit around about learning for sustainability and some of that journey that she's been on, and then Alison's going to pick up specifically around some more of the STEM, and that video just kind of inspires both and brings both together. So over to you, Iona. Thank you.
Thank you. So learning for sustainability is how we have wrapped STEM into our curriculum. So we're starting off. Sorry, are we on the right thing? I think that's the end of it, Mary.
Oh, so beg your pardon. That's me. Thank you too much.
I was
Thank
like,
you,
oh, that's
Tony.
so much.
Apologies.
I'll start again. So, as I was saying, Learning for Sustainability is how we integrate STEM into our curriculum. We are a provision for autistic learners who often come with concurrent learning disabilities and learning difficulties. So we are 37 learners in the provision that come from all over Stirling. We're the only secondary autism provision at present, although that is expanding. We have some of the most vulnerable learners in the authority, and as Mary said earlier, that sometimes can be overlooked. So for us, we're trying to break down barriers, change stereotypes, and really have a think about integrity, our values, what we want for our young people, and how we can make that happen. There's huge elements of social justice because we explore within our community and how we interact with each other, our culture, how we come as a community within the provision because we are from all over rural and city, and we look at our rights because children have rights here as well as all over the world, and we look at how they match up. But fundamentally, we're looking to respect our values of the natural world and each other. Okay, next slide, please. Engage. So for our learners as well, we have to have a very differentiated curriculum because we have such a wide range of learning styles. So we can be working with youngsters who are following the Milestones curriculum right through to youngsters who are following the Hires curriculum. We want to create something together with a professional teacher agency where we come together with different community partners so that we can create a curriculum that's built around our young people, where they are and where they're going. Outdoor learning is key to that for us. We not only do our tiny farm, which Alison will speak about later, but we also engage in our actual landscape, our national park that's on our doorstep, and we travel into there on canoes, on bikes, on our feet, and we think really hard about what's around us and the impact it has in our lives. Community is massive within the provision, again because we're from all over Stirling, but also because we like to work with our community partners so that we can have different intergenerational perspectives on our learning. So we work with Scout Troop, we work with retired Scouts as well who come in. We've created our own troop in here called First Rananigan, which was created by the children. They come up with a name for it. So Rananigan means star in Gaelic, so it's theirs from design all the way through. That agency we spoke about before is not just like teachers collaborating to build a curriculum, it's bringing in outside people. So as we're looking outwards and we're really developing what can we do next to make this exciting, to make it relevant and to make it meaningful. We're consistently reflecting on our practice and again asking for Education Scotland quite often for advice on how to develop further, which is where the STEM grant came in. Can we look at next slide please? So we're enacting and embedding in this one. For us, Curriculum for Excellence was just, it's brilliant. It ties into so much we can do. It gives us a green light to do an ideal approach not only in the BGE but also in the senior phase. So broad general education for the folks that aren't teachers in senior phases from 4th year upwards. We have a huge focus in the world they work and building life skills for kids so that when they leave here they have an experience of working either through work placement or working on their tiny farm. And that's where the STEM comes in. So through that we've introduced Green Roots, which is a training provider, RET, Royal Highland Education Trust, of course there's so many now, they've just put right in my head, and of course the Developing Young Workforce team that come around and support us as well, looking for opportunities. But within that we're looking at getting their hands mucky. Quite often autistic learners are not perceived as kids that want to get mucky, that seems to be too sensory. We're breaking that down and we're just immersing kids in their learning every day. Can we look at next slide please? Connecting for us as well is fundamental because we want to try and build a network so that we're reaching out to other people and enhancing opportunities together. Last year Mary had me speaking at Scottish Learning Festival, which was fantastic because after that lots of people got in touch. We've been able to link in with other schools. We had a fire pit charter, which was in a tiny farm where the local primary schools and our business partners came together to talk again about what we could do to try and embed Learning for Sustainability into STEM and everything we're doing. GTCS Hub is something that we've been accessing. This is where I've got the Explore, Engage. If you've not seen them before, they're on here. Learning for Sustainability Scotland thing is a fab resource. Initially met Mary when we were back in, I'm just checking the year now, 2022, when we applied for Learning for Sustainability Awards, and the result of that was we got to go to COPE, but again, it meant that we could open the door and meet more people. Because essentially what we want to do is try and pollinate ideas so that as teachers, practitioners, business partners, we can come together and make opportunities for young people. One of our biggest things has been applying for that STEM grant, and Alison's going to speak about that just now and how we've been able to work with Katie at RET to develop that further.
Thank you so much for that, Iona. Don't know if folk have any kind of questions or comments or reflections in the chat while I bring up the others' presentation. I think it'd be really nice to just even to hear some thoughts in the chat for Iona. Bring this up.
I just realised I missed out all the information on interdisciplinary learning and how they use that to take risks.
Do you want to do that just now, Iona, just before we pass on to
Before we pass on to it, probably is a good time. So IDL is something that we have that runs, I would say, not just when starting first year, it can be thematic all the way through school, but it's a way that we've been using to try and take risks with young people. So as we have them outside, firelighting, canoeing, rock climbing. Again, Alison here was away getting trained up on, say, firelighting, but it's just trying to tie the maths and the literacy and the digital aspect into all one big project so they can make a connection that's meaningful for them. Sorry.
That's great. Thanks, Iona. Just comments in the chat about the amount of achievement that learners have had, the opportunities of working with outside agency. I think that's the thing, STEM learning for sustainability, it's bringing things to life for learners. A couple of questions, Iona, you might want to kind of answer in the chat while we pass on to Alison, and we'll come back to that if we've got scope to do that afterwards. So I'm just going to share just now and pass over to you, Alison. Thanks, Iona.
Okay, thank you. So thanks to the STEM funding, our Growing Tiny Farmers project was born. So if I can have the next slide, please. The funding has enabled us to develop a partnership with Katie, as Iona was saying, from RET, which has given our young people, they're at the heart of our project. Our young people love strawberries and they were keen to grow their own, so it was decided that we would host a strawberry tea at the end of the year to celebrate with our school partners all the amazing learning that's been going on over the past year. So the project follows our creative curriculum. It supports young people to be very curious about their learning. Science, technology, engineering and maths all underpin the strawberry planting experiments. Young people have planted strawberries outside in the ground using traditional methods of growing. They have plants in grow bags within our polytunnel. They've upcycled Wellington boots to grow plants, learning about drainage and how the soil breathes. Young people have explored more modern growing methods such as vertical planting and how this may increase capacity within a space and yield a higher return of produce. To support the understanding and give a bit more context, Katie organised a visit to a local strawberry farmer for us who uses vertical farming to grow their strawberries. The farmer shared knowledge verbally with us and also handouts for us to take away. We've learned how to assess moisture in the soil so we don't overwater or underwater. We learned about the strawberry season, the cycle of strawberries, pollination, feeding the plants, how we can use the runners for next year, etc. So lots and lots of learning and putting it in context for our young people. If I can have the next slide, thank you. So the impact is huge. Through our partnership with RET, we're building a community of practice to support our project. Every Friday, we work with a local horticultural lecturer to develop knowledge and understanding of farming practices. Learning is then cascaded through the team to build confidence, supporting all young people to participate in the project. As a team, we've got a shared commitment to learning for sustainability, and the funding has enabled us to be guided by experts and how we can enhance our spaces within the tiny farm, companion planting to support wildlife that we need for our strawberry plants. Young people are exploring questions about where strawberries are grown, how are they seasonal food, what can we make with strawberries. One of our young people
I don't know that. Oh, Alison, I think you're sounding out for me there.
I
think we just heard one young person, and then I think we didn't hear the rest of that thing.
It was just one of our young people loves Prime and the drink, and we were discussing, well, what's in prime. So we were looking at, it was a strawberry flavour. So we now have a great plan for making a brand new prime flavour using our strawberries and comparing them and seeing which one tastes best. So I'll watch this space. To preserve the knowledge that's been shared with us through all the different experts and the partnerships that we have, we're developing a Padlet to record photographs and videos of the different experts, and this will ensure that all the new knowledge that we're gaining isn't diluted as it's passed along and shared with the team of practitioners within the provision, but also the young people that are in now, but also for the future. If I can have the next slide, thank you. For further impacts from this funding is that the new knowledge that our young people are gaining is supporting our wider achievements. For example, we're learning about farming methods, which is linked to the Heritage Hero Award, and strawberries, we'll make jam with the strawberries, and this will be then sold as part of our Prince's Trust Enterprise project. So this project, the Growing Tiny Farmers, is providing our young people with so many opportunities to lead their learning, sharing knowledge with their peers, and we plan to open up our space to the community, which again will provide opportunities for them to learn from the tiny farmers that we're growing here at the provision. And that's it.
Wow, thank you so much. I certainly know I mean, I've been really inspired by the story, and it's just how one project from one, simple thing like strawberries that a young person's interested in, and how that's grown and it's influencing the curriculum and the partnerships and the achievements of young people. And it's really is kind of growing and spreading, but you're also not just content with just for the learners themselves, but reaching out into the community. I think it's a really inspiring story. And sometimes, to address things that actually sometimes people aren't sure what to do with learners with additional support needs, particularly to explore things like you said at Iona Alison around about sensory needs and how you can take them outside. So I think that's been a really lovely example of how you can do that and what you can make happen when you do it together with partners. So I think that's really, really nice. And Mrs. Mullins saying in the chat they're also very lucky to have RET, and they offer so many opportunities and support. Mm-hmm. And Mrs. Rothney saying it sounds fantastic. So thank you very much. Lynn, do you want to come in and say anything? Just you've heard that story now for the first time. So
it's just amazing. I was trying to type and I was trying to find emojis because that's the sad person I am, but I couldn't find the emojis I wanted to put in. It's inspiring. What a wonderful amount of work, and can it come for the strawberry picking? I might be pleased with that, and especially if you get to eat them. So it just sounds wonderful. The whole thing just puts a big smile on my face. Mary showed me the video for the first time yesterday, and it put such a smile on my face since then. It's just wonderful to see how much you're doing for your learners, and as I said to Mary, for the families as well, for the families to see what they're able to achieve and all those achievements at the end of that video. It's not just how great it is for the learners, but for the families to see that, our young people can achieve all this as well. It's just wonderful. So just well done.
Yeah, thank you. And Laura's saying the same. It's really inspiring. So thank you very much. We're going to and I think Iona and Alison are going to be with us till the end of the session. So if you've got kind of questions or comments on how to take forward something similar to what they've done, or you're doing something, they'd love to connect as well. And we're going to pass on to Laura. So Lynn, you're going to still have a smile on your face, because when we hear Laura's story and the wonderful work that's happening within STEM, within her practice, I think we will absolutely be inspired too. So hang about with us. Don't leave, folks. Laura, are you able to share your slide yourself? I think I know you were quite keen to do it. I can do it if you want me to, but you might find it easier to do that at your end. I can bring them up if you want me to. Got them. Folks, while we're just sorting that, we'd love to know if this is the first time that you've been along to a session like this. Lynn was mentioning we're keen to kind of think about what we might do next session. So if you're able to just pop us into the chat if you've been to a session before, if this is your first one, we'd love to kind of know. And Laura, we can see your slides, so we're good to go, I think. Oh, we've just popped onto calendar view, so do you want me to bring them up? I think you're still on.
Oh. Realised I hadn't unmiked myself, which wasn't good.
Ah, no,
Is that better? Can you hear? Can you hear me now?
A wee bit of crackle feedback, actually.
Okay. Is that any better?
Yep, I think that sounds good.
A little bit better. And you can see the screen okay?
Oh, we can see.
I'm an amateur at this. Well, it's really nice to be here to talk to everybody today and to share some of the things that we've been doing in Lardbrook Cluster. As Mary said, at the moment I'm acting principal teacher at Stenhousemuir Primary. I've been there since August, I'll be there till June, but usually you can find me at Lardbrook Village Primary, just up the road, as a class teacher. I'm also part of the Raise STEM network, mentor network for Lardbrook Cluster, and that's supported by Raise and Laura McCaffrey as well, and that was set up within Falkirk Council to provide some STEM mentors that would be receiving CPD and looking at new resources and sharing good practice and running CPD to support and encourage the teaching of STEM within our individual clusters. So been doing that for the last couple of years. And that's been really beneficial to my practice because it means that I've had the opportunity to try out and to take part in lots of different STEM activities and then have the opportunity to share those with my colleagues. So what I thought I'd do is just take you through some of the things that we've been doing. I've picked out some that were maybe most interesting to show you what's been happening across Stenhousemuir Primary and Lardbrook Village from when I was there. So this one was something we did recently, and we looked at pupil leadership for STEM Week in March. Lardbrook High do a STEM Academy where Primary 7s can apply to have a focus on STEM within their first 3 years of their high school experience. So some of the children that had an interest and thought that STEM Academy might be for them formed the Stenny STEM Squad, and they had some time with me every week. We looked at some opportunities for them to lead the learning in P1 to 4 during STEM Week. So what they did was they had a look at some of the activities, we looked at some of the learning, we looked at some of the E's and O's and where we could meet some learning needs within the lower school. They developed their experiments, they developed their lessons, and they led those independently. So that was really, really good for them to get those leadership skills, to bring on their confidence, but also to develop their love of STEM and their interest in STEM subjects and really go forward with their applications to high school, which was great. As you can see, the little ones hung on their every word during STEM Week and really enjoyed the activities that they did. So that was really, really good to see. One of the other activities that we've been doing in school is using the Make-Do cardboard engineering sets. This was introduced to me through the STEM network, and then we have some sets within Falkirk Council that practitioners are able to borrow from the amazing library services that we have at Falkirk Council. Make-Do is a way of building with cardboard. When you build with cardboard, as you know, it's a nightmare to stick it together. Sellotape doesn't work, glue doesn't work. But this is a system of tools and screws that allows you to create almost anything out of scrap cardboard. Really sustainable because the sets just, when they're finished with them, they just unscrew the screws, put it all back. And most schools have a good supply of cardboard for the children to make things with. The bottom right shows a picture from their website, so they obviously were a lot more ambitious with their creations than our first try. So children loved this. All of our children from P1 to P7 were able to engage with this activity. Our children from our enhanced provision were able to take part and enjoy these, and we've actually ordered some of these for school to facilitate play in the upper stages as well as in the lower stages, because it's a really sort of rich play resource and gives children that creativity, that open-ended creativity and play that's so difficult to meet in the upper stages. Forth Valley College is another fantastic organisation that are working with STEM in primary schools at the moment. They have a range of STEM boxes that schools in Stirling, Clackmannanshire and Falkirk can borrow from them. They're fantastically well resourced and really, really inspiring. This shows the rocket launchers STEM box. This one was really, really good. It had a link to aeronautical engineering. Children learned about what does an aeronautical engineer do, what kind of skills do they have, and then they created their own rockets using the kit from Forth Valley College. There was lots and lots of trial and error, lots of working together, lots of that didn't work, why did that not work, let's try this. And then of course we had our flight session at the end. They provided a air-powered rocket launcher, so our furthest rocket went about 15 metres, which was great. Kids absolutely loved that activity. We also had Forth Valley College coming in to do their STEM outreach days. So they provide STEM team coming out to primary 6 and 7. So our primary 7s took part, and it's an immersive day. You can see them all with their little lab coats on and their glasses, and they do all sorts of experiments like extracting DNA from strawberries, and really, really sort of inspire and fire the children up for STEM. You can see by their faces how much they enjoyed the session. So that was really, really good. And all of the work that Forth Valley College are doing with primary schools is free. You don't have to pay for that, so it really is quite accessible for all. Done a lot in the last couple of years with coding, again supported by Raise. We've been looking at the Code and Go mouse. This is our primary 1s. Playing with the Code and Go mouse. It's like an updated Bee-Bot, where children, you can see from the picture that they've created their own maze for the mouse to go down, as opposed to the map that existed before, but really, really good to start them thinking and developing their computational thinking skills. We've used Sphero Indie, which is a sort of next step up with the coding, and Sphero Indie has a colour sensor on the bottom, and so children create pathways of coloured blocks, and they would be your blocks of code. So every colour has a different code and sends Indie to do something different. So it's about exploring. This was primary 4. We gave them the blocks. We didn't tell them what the blocks meant. They had to work that out for themselves. So again, it's try this, try that. That didn't work. So really, really hands-on and trying to understand and get them to really appreciate that for coding, it has to be exact. If it's slightly off, Indie will go off the wrong way. If they put the wrong piece of code in, they won't get the end result. So really, really motivating. Sphero Indie is also really, really good if you've got children with additional support needs. When you go online to Sphero Indie, there's a fantastic ASM guide. The simplicity and the predictability of Indie make that something that's really, really good for those children. And Scratch, I think most people have dipped their toe into Scratch, but again, we use Scratch. Once we've had a go with Indie and we understand that sort of process, looking at building simple games and animations through Scratch on the computer. And then I guess to finish off that progression, we looked at Sphero Bolt. So Sphero Bolt is a robot that you connect via Bluetooth to an iPad or a computer, and you use block coding to control the ball itself. So that was really good. It was something really physical, and the children could create the code and they could see it happening in front of them, but also a challenge because when you do it on the computer, it's very predictable. When you've got a ball on the ground and it's maybe carpet or it's smooth ground, they had to make lots and lots of changes and lots of alterations to their code to find their end result. One of the really exciting projects we got involved with last year, and again this is a primary 4 class, was the First LEGO League. So First LEGO League is a collaborative project, and it links design and technology to real life context, and the context this year was Cargo Connect. So it was all about cargo, real focus on team building and problem solving. Again, I had 5 children within my class who were in our enhanced provision, and it was a fantastic project for everyone. It was really, really inclusive. This is the pack they get. It's really very prescribed. You've got your different Lego pieces in different boxes. All of the equipment goes back in at the end of the session. Really taught children to be really careful with the resource, because these little bits go missing really easily. So that was a bit of a challenge, but we got there. And it involves building. So the iPad or your laptop or your computer will show you the instructions for a build. So it's very like the paper that comes in a Lego set. If you've ever bought a Lego set, you get a little book and it shows you step by step how to create something. The little grey and white box at the top there, that's the box that receives the signal from the iPad. So you build it around that. And when you're finished, you use block coding to code your Lego robot. The coding in this particular program was really, really simple. It was all picture based. So again, my children that really struggled with these things really shone in this. It also gave them an example code to copy. So it really modelled that coding before they got the opportunity to make changes to it to see how they could make it behave differently. So I've got 2 little videos. I'm not sure how well these play, but I'll have a go. So the first one was a cooling fan for a refrigerated vehicle. And the second one was a robot that you could send into a cargo hold in order to inspect what was in there. So see if I can get this one up. Nope, not going to let me do that. Oh, there we go. I can pull that around. Oh, there we go. Okay. Again, another project that took part in this one, I accessed through Twitter. So I advertised on Twitter. It's fantastic. Resource for STEM teaching is Twitter. But this was a project run by the Young Engineers and Science Clubs. And the one that I took part in was called the Little Lighthouse project. This was an interdisciplinary project. It was accompanied by resource kits, CPD courses that enabled teachers to tackle STEM concepts through engaging activities. So it was all hands-on, and it helped children to understand the challenges and involve them in creating solutions. Outside of my comfort zone at this point, I had never used a microbit before, didn't really even think I understood what a microbit was. However, the resource box and the training was second to none. So by the time that had all finished, I felt really confident in taking this forward within my classroom. So we covered all sorts of things through this project. We started off by researching lighthouses. What were they? You know, how do they flash? You know, what are they for? When were they built? Who built them? Who lives there? All of these things. And then part of that, we, with literacy, they researched and wrote information reports on a lighthouse of their choice. We did lots of artwork when we looked at parts of a lighthouse, what they're called, what each part's called, and we looked at what would a lighthouse look like on a Dreich Scottish day, and we used our watercolours to do that. We then started to look at technology, and we started to look at Scratch. Sorry, I should say this was a P6 class. We looked at creating lighthouses on Scratch that flash, that we could create a flash with. And then we started to explore microbits themselves. We looked at electrical circuits. So we explored electrical circuits. How do they work? How do we make lamps light? How do we make buzzers sound? And then we linked our microbits to control our electrical circuits. So once they understood the electrical circuits, we looked at using the microbit to control it, to turn it on and off, to use it as a switch, to create light patterns. They used it to create a light sensor, so when the light dipped to a certain level, the lamp would light, so all sorts of things, all supported by the resource pack that comes from YESC. Then they looked at a design challenge, so they had to build a lighthouse model that had a lamp that flashed in the exact pattern of their chosen lighthouse. So one thing that I didn't know was that every lighthouse has a unique flash pattern, so ships are able to identify where they are on which lighthouse they are beside by their flash pattern, which was completely new learning for me, and the kids were absolutely fascinated by this concept. So once they'd chosen their lighthouse in their groups, they started to create their lighthouse. So we used recyclables to do that and paper mache, and they looked at the drawings that they'd made. So once they had chose their lighthouse, they drew, they looked at all the features, what was around it, and they created models of their lighthouses. And there they are. There's some of our finished ones. I remember that top left one, that was Nest Point in Skye. Can't remember the names of the other ones, but really proud of their models. And the challenging bit was then to make their lighthouse flash. So they had to incorporate their learning about electrical circuits and their microbits in order to create a lamp within their model that they could control with their iPad so that it flashed in the exact flash pattern of their lighthouse. It was really tricky to do that. It was a real challenge, but the determination of the children was fantastic, and they all managed to create flashing lighthouses that were unique to that individual lighthouse. One of the really important things that we did with this project was making sure that we were sharing our learning. It was when we returned from COVID, so there were still lots and lots of guidelines. We couldn't have parents in, we couldn't have children in our classrooms, so we set up a lighthouse gallery where children could walk past and have a look. We shared lots of our learning with parents on Twitter. It became really important to do that, and we shared it within our classroom as well on our display and looked at our learning journey that way. And these are some of the feedback from the children. I think one of the things that really stands out is the different things that they learned and the different things that they picked up from the project. I didn't know that the first lighthouse was built in ancient Egypt either. Did lots about Robert Stevenson and looking at how to connect equipment with wires in a circuit. So lots and lots of different things that they picked out. And then what did they enjoy? It was a project that really, really inspired the children. You know, when it was on the timetable to do, they were running in excited. What are we doing? What are we doing next? Can we start this? So it was something that was really enjoyable for everybody in the classroom. And family learning. So family learning is something that I had the opportunity to do before COVID. Larbert High School Technologies Department ran a course on family learning where you shadowed their family learning sessions and ran one in school. And with COVID, that hasn't happened since. However, for STEM Week this year, I decided to run some family learning at Stenhousemuir Primary School. So why did we do it? It's really nice for parents and children to spend some quality time together. I was going to say that it doesn't involve sitting behind a screen, but we were coding a little bit, so there was a little bit of screen time there, and learning new skills together and to have fun. It was really important, you know, that for children who have no experience of STEM, families have no experience of STEM, those children are less likely to take STEM forward in the high school. So increasing the STEM capital of the children was really important, but also increasing the STEM capital of parents was really important, just to make sure that they have lots of STEM experiences, knowledge, and that their attitude and way of thinking was really positive around STEM. So we did coding, and we had 2 different sessions. We talked about what coding was. Lots of parents came along because they had no idea what coding was. And we talked a lot about why we teach coding to children and looking at that progression of skills and the different things that children can gain from taking part in coding. Lots of lovely feedback from parents. It was a really, really good session. Everybody seemed to really enjoy themselves. Lots of feedback about spending time together, bonding with their children, learning new skills around their children. So it was a really, really positive experience for everyone involved. This is just a quick snapshot of some of the feedback that we got from parents before the session and after the session. So it was really, really clear that both parents and children increased their own confidence in their coding skills, and that they came away feeling that they knew much more about coding and why coding is important to teach in primary schools. It's a really positive result. So that's me. The last thing that I really wanted to say was that most of what I've done and most of the activities and projects that I've got involved in have been through Twitter. I think it's a really valuable resource for teachers. Lots of opportunities that are shared on there. I know that the STEM mentors in Falkirk have their own Twitter accounts, and we share good practice and we share opportunities for other practitioners. But there are fantastic Twitter accounts all over Scotland to follow. The RAISE ambassadors for every region are fantastic at sharing opportunities as well, and I've found that to be one of the most valuable things to support me in my STEM journey that I can then take forward to the children. And that's me.
Wow, that's amazing, Laura. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, Laura's saying about being blown away by all that you've done, and I think in actual fact we've really got a flavour of that tonight, just the breadth of STEM that you've explored with your learners in a couple of different kind of contexts and settings and as a cluster. And I think you've made it really accessible for people this afternoon, just how you're continually learning and the skills that you're developing. And I certainly know that that's been something that we've really appreciated hearing. Laura's got her hand up. Laura, do you want to come in?
Yes, very quickly. Thank you, Laura. I thought that was amazing. But it was just actually to let everybody know that I have been a wee bit cheeky and I've emailed Make Do Education. I was delivering a session last night in Dumfries and Galloway, and they absolutely loved the Make Do resource, but said, oh, we don't have the money to buy it, but we'd really like it. So I've just thought, well, I may as well ask them and ask if we bulk bought for authorities across Scotland, could we get a deal or a discount or some sort of, can you lend it to us for free for a little trial and see where we're going? So I'll keep everybody posted on how that goes, but I thought, no cheek, no chance, we may as well ask. So just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's really great to hear. And absolutely, Laura, if you don't ask, you don't get. So go for it. Well, love it, love it, love it. Right, folks, we're actually just about to finish up. So I've just got a couple of things to share with you. And while I bring that up, maybe just ask Lynn to come in, if that's okay, Lynn.
Yeah, I'm just bowled away. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Loved the little lighthouse, and as I say, I'd never seen these Make Do things, and I'm thinking, gosh, that was such a nightmare trying to sellotape cardboard and things together, and to know that those things are now available, you're like, oh, that is just marvellous. But just so important. Again, you touched on one of my favourite topics as well, and that's that equity of learning for the parents as well. And I think it's so important that we make sure the parents are involved in the STEM that's going on in the school, because like you say, often they've not had those opportunities themselves, and it's all very well to do it with your learners, but it's so important to do it with the parents as well. So well done you for doing that as well. That's just made my heart warm. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lynn, too. And I think that brings us, we are just over time, but it was certainly worth waiting for. And I think just what we want to leave you with is there's so much to reflect on, some practice, some excellent practice to be able to digest from Iona, from Alison, from Laura. What might you take forward? What might you do? And actually the strength of a network is actually if people are willing, like Laura, Alison and Iona, to put their hands up and say, yeah, we'll share what we're doing. So, you know, have a wee think about this question. We'll post it in the team. And if you're willing to share your practice, we would love to have you join us and to share with that too. So, and if you wouldn't mind, there's a week evaluation that we'll be able to just even learn from and explore together. So we'll pop that link into the chat, and we'll look forward to linking with you and hearing and sharing more practice next year. But please get in touch. We'll pop the email address into the chat as well, and we would love to stay connected with you.
Yeah.
Here. Very much about what you're looking for, what your needs, and so that we can grow in confidence together and spread the love of STEM.
Yeah, Yeah, I'd just like to add to what Mary said, and just to reiterate that, I think everybody on the session today, sorry, my phone thinks it's after 5, so I shouldn't be here, so I'm not going to keep you, but I think we can all agree that is this sharing a practice that we all find so useful, and we hear about things and learn about things that we can all do in our own practice. So please get in touch with us if you're doing anything at all that you feel that you could share with the group. As you've seen, it's very casual. We don't, there's no pressure on it, but when we hear from the likes of Laura and from Iona and Alison, the sort of things they've done, it's just so inspiring. And I think for practitioners, it is so inspiring just to hear from other practitioners what they're actually managing to do and achieve with their learners. So I just want to add my thanks to Laura and Iona and Alison again for sharing what they've done. It's just been brilliant. Thank you.
Great. And so thanks to each of you for coming along, and thanks for our time together, and we wish you a pleasant evening. And if, unlike that water, you've now got something of a more a grown-up drink, please enjoy it and have a lovely evening, and we'll hopefully stay connected and see you again soon. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks.